Hey, so this video is for the specific person people, and I'm in a unique position right now because of what I've been experiencing. I'll link to my last couple videos. um, and I don't want to try to speak from the standpoint, I'm not like 5 years down the road happily married or anything, so I don't want to try to speak from a standpoint of like what's happening in my life is an absolute sure thing, despite the fact that Matt tells me that he thinks it is, and I kind of feel it is too. But I just wanted to talk for a second about my thoughts on, when I was back in like December, January, whenever it was that I was thinking about a specific person and decided, okay, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could just like manifest that relationship to be perfect. There were a couple things about that that I can clearly see that I knew at the time, but are really apparent now, and that I realized at sort of an opportune moment in this timeline with Matt. I think there are a couple of really big issues, like two really big issues at play in the specific person category. And I think you owe it to yourself to think about these two things and to think about how much they're factoring in to your specific person agenda. Because if they're factoring in a big way, you can keep your specific person intention while doing work on these two things, and you can see where you end up, because they were playing a huge role in mine. I was never all that into my specific person. I was never, I had a lot of pain wrapped into that relationship, but honestly, I've never, the idea of causing a relationship to come about in that way or changing somebody to suit my needs has just never, I don't know, it just doesn't appeal. I had a hard time getting behind it, and I have a hard time getting behind the entire specific person thing. For that reason and for these reasons I'm about to say. Number one, I think a lot of people get stuck on a specific person because they haven't gotten over the breakup. Like, they just simply don't want to deal with the pain that's coming from the breakup, especially if you're older or if you've gone through this a lot of times, or maybe if it's your first time. Breakup pain is super hard for anybody, but it's really, really hard for people who have been abandoned in their past. It's especially hard for people that have low self-esteem, and it's just such an awful ordeal that this specific person intention manifestation is kind of like a soothing balm, I think. You think maybe you can just sort of avoid it. You can avoid the breakup pain by hopefully just getting the person back, and then you never have to deal with it. I think you owe it to yourself to get over the breakup. You can still manifest the person back if when you're fine on the other side of it, you still want it. And I think, I really think you owe it to yourself to get to that point of clarity that you get to when you're past a breakup. Eventually, after you break up with somebody, you reach a point, whether it's because you met somebody new and now you're interested in somebody else. You have a different perspective on the relationship that, you're dealing with the breakup of now. And a lot of times you look back on that person and you think, what was I doing? What was so enticing? Why was I willing to overlook the fact that, horrifying thing one, horrifying thing two? Like, I think that just not wanting to go through the breakup process is a big part of it. And with some people, you get the specific person intention in your head, and it helps you through the breakup, and then you come to a point where you maybe you're kind of on the other side of it, but you've got this manifestation thing going, and so you just stick to it. That's kind of what happened to me with my specific person that I've talked about on this channel. I was really sad, and it's part of what got me back into the conscious creation stuff. And then when I finally just started to naturally feel better about it, partly because I was just getting past it, and partly because my friend Steve told me he had feelings for me, and I had always kind of been into him, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's the point at which I just said, I don't think I really want that guy. And yeah, I like did a bunch of imaginal acts, and I said it's done, and I you know, planned on it happening, and I knew it would. But you know what? Now I just don't think I want it anymore. It took me a couple months to let it go after that. So anyway, that's the first thing. You know, if you're past the breakup now, you can let it go. You don't have to stick to it just because you set an intention. And if you can set it aside while you get past the breakup, you know, you'll be able to decide if this person's really for you from a different vantage point, a different perspective. And I think that's a really good thing to do. And the second thing is, I think that you need to, you know, this is coming from my own experience, I think it helps if you think about how much you really believe that there's anybody else out there for you. It's really, really easy when you have just broken up with somebody. You know, we get really attached to like the specific things about people that we love, and we forget how many wonderful things there are that person didn't have. And it becomes really easy to feel like there's nobody else out there. And for me, I think it was especially hard because I had a bunch of shitty beliefs. I turned 40 last September, and I definitely felt like men don't want women over 40. I don't know why it's so dumb. I've had more interest from guys in the last year than I probably have in the last 10 years combined before that. But, you know, I definitely was feeling like there's nobody out there. There's nobody good out there. You know, a lot of the times I wasn't even afraid that there was nobody, you know, who would want me. I was afraid there was nobody who I would want. That was a big one for me. I was just like, I go on a dating site, I don't see a single person I want to talk to. I never ever see somebody in public who I would want to talk to. I never meet anybody. There's nobody out there for me. You know, you can kind of erase that on a conscious level and still feel it deep down. I didn't realize that I felt that way. I know what day it was that I changed my mind about it. You know, I in December I said, okay, my romantic fulfillment is done. I know that. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about whether it will happen or how it's going to happen. But then after that, you know, I would go on a dating site every now and then. The thing with Steve really like wasn't working out for me. Like I as much as I love Steve, I could tell that wasn't heading in the direction that I wanted for my, you know, my future partnership. And I would go on dating sites and just think, there is nobody. Oh my God. And I'd say, no, don't have a bad attitude. You know, you don't know how it's going to, you know, just like I would tell myself to be positive, but deep down I just kind of felt like, man, you know, there's nobody I'm interested in. And it was June 21st, I believe. And I was laying on my couch. I do a lot of good thinking on my couch. I was laying on my couch and I was thinking about this stuff, and I thought, why do I think there's nobody good left out there? Like, this is the dumbest thing ever. There are so many good people out there. Because it's true, there are. Like, look how many people there are in the world. How can I possibly feel like there's nobody out there that I could be interested in? You know? Why is it that I feel like meeting my specific person last year and meeting Steve last year, why is it I feel like those are the last two people that I could ever have been interested in? This makes no sense. None of my rational support for there being nobody who I could ever want to be with or be interested in makes any sense. Like, there are a ton of great people out there. This is dumb. I had this really strong thought. It's memorable. And then the very next day, I became very interested in Matt, who I had already been talking to for a long time and who had not really shown up on my radar as somebody I was interested in. I can't explain why, because I went back and I was rereading some of the conversations he and I had, like in May and early June. He sent me messages and he was like clearly trying to engage with me and talk to me. And I was just kind of, I wasn't blowing him off, but I was just like not interested. Why? Like, why wasn't I interested? I have no idea. The day after I cleared that idea from my mind that there was nobody I was going to be interested in, all of a sudden Matt appears. And like the relationship that's happened since then, June 22nd was pretty much the first day. I remember distinctly because I had that feeling, I had that like spark of interest in him. And I remember thinking, oh my God, like I just had this thought yesterday. You know, it was clear to me what had happened. Like I'd had a slight mental shift and there he was. So, you know, what's been able to happen since then, I think, was being prevented by that idea that there was nobody out there. And so I think a lot of people get stuck on the specific person thing for a long time because of that exact thing. They just don't believe that there's somebody else out there that could make them feel like the specific person did, or that they could want as much or whatever. And I just want to tell you this about my experience with Matt. Now, it's not super old, and we just met a week ago in person and all of that. It's been whatever, it's August maybe 9th right now, and we really only started talking in a way where I was interested on June 22nd. But I can tell you this, you know, I don't know for sure where it's going, but this guy, like, in terms of everything, but in terms of the relationship between me and him, it blows everything else out of the water, like so far out of the water. You know, I love Steve, and Steve and I have this great, like, back and forth. We have great conversations, but, you know, it was never like this, ever. Like, there was always, like, you know, it was never easy like this. It was never like we both want the same things. It was never, you know, and same thing with my specific person, you know, he wanted the relationship, and he wanted us to be together and everything, and he wanted me to be his girlfriend. He wanted to show me off to his friends and stuff for whatever reason. But, like, we never had a connection, like, you know, like, he never made me feel wanted, and, like, he didn't want the relationship that I wanted either. And it can just be so easy with somebody, you know, even if my relationship with Matt doesn't go anywhere, and I'm only saying that because I'm not going to publicly say that I know what's going to happen here, because I don't want to look like a dipshit if it doesn't. Even if things don't play out so that, like, this is it, this is a reminder to me, you know, that there's always somebody out there. There's always somebody else out there. And whatever you think is the best thing that you could have had, you know, the specific person that you're trying to get back, you know, there's better. There's always somebody better until there's not. And then when you're with that person and you're happy, that's it. If you're not with, you know, if you're not with a person and you're both deliriously happy, then there's somebody better for you out there. And, you know, you have all the free will in the world to try to turn your specific person into that, or to try to get that person to be how you want or whatever. But I think a lot of people get stuck on the specific person because they just don't think there's anybody else better out there for them. And, you know, it's like the people that get upset when they hear that they're going to get their specific person or something better. Like, they're not hearing you're going to get your specific person or something better. They're hearing you're going to get your specific person or something worse. Something better is something better. So I just wanted to make this for the specific person people. I know that it's going to fall on deaf ears for many, but I know it's going to speak to a few people that are ready to just drop this whole charade and get the person that is just right for them. I don't know. I think for the vast majority of people trying to manifest a specific person, I think a few of you maybe Maybe this really is like your soulmate and this is just some weird blip in the relationship. But I think for most people, you're selling yourself way short by not demanding that the universe or God or you or whatever, however you think of it, give you the exact right thing for you, the exact thing that will make you deliriously happy. And it's just something to think about.